Well, hello out there to all of you seekers of literary escapism, and welcome to my channel, where I sit amongst my dolls for no apparent reason and talk about the books I like. My name is Daniel, and I am the Barbie Book Boy. When I was a kid, my worldview was shaped by such television gems as The Secret World of Alex Mack, Salute Your Shorts, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Really, the 90s shows were this golden age in children's television programming. So that's why I was excited to read Mr. Magic by Kiersten White. So grab your most nostalgic toy and let's get into it. So the 5 remaining child stars of the classic children's TV show Mr. Magic are all grown up. And unfortunately, so were their unresolved traumas and suppressed memories. And in the 30 years since the show's sudden and deadly end, they've all gone their separate ways and built new lives thanks to distance and denial. But Mr. Magic was no ordinary children's program. It was the longest running show in history, like going all the way back to the pre-TV days of radio. And over the decades, the cast has changed several times as children would grow up or age out of the cast. Like, the show itself was a living organism that kept shedding its skin. So the show has a sort of cult following that spans several generations. People loved this show, and they loved the cast of kids who were known as the Circle of Friends, which is what I will now be calling my doll room. The Circle of Friends, where we can all sit together and play and maybe judge each other. Anyway, but all of the memories that people have of this show and of the cast and of all the various lessons that they would learn while watching the show are, well, just that. Only memories. Because there's no footage of this show anywhere. It just doesn't exist. You can't find it online. There aren't any clips or anything uploaded to YouTube. There's no evidence of who produced this show. There's not even so much as any information for a name of a person who directed a single episode of this show. And there are absolutely no records whatsoever of who the host, Mr. Magic, really was. So there's quite a bit of discord online. There's vlogs and podcasts and forums where people can espouse conspiracy theories and rumors about this show. It's sort of like a reverse Mandela effect. Everyone remembers something that absolutely happened, but there's no evidence it ever existed. It's like a collective memory without a fossil record. But for most of the surviving cast, the past 30 years have just been an exercise in negotiating life in the wake of having their childhood canceled mid-season. For them, the show was about their bond. It represented feelings of belonging and happiness and safety. They loved their experience being on this show, even if the show does seem to have a body count. But still, for most of them, nothing in life has ever really been as good since. Because apparently, childhood fame and existential horror are just unbeatable feelings. However, for one of them, things are slightly more complicated. And it's only after tragedy strikes her life that this cast of former child stars are reunited after 30 years. The whole group heads out to the Utah desert, to the place where the show was actually originally filmed, for a little sun, a little sand, and the faint echo of childhood trauma to be on full display for a podcast series. And though there is some camaraderie and residual familiarity between them all, nothing says friendship like decades of awkwardness. Am I right or am I right? Each one of them seems to have their own personal motivations for wanting to reunite. But the only thing they can all really agree on is that it seems like the desert has actually kind of maybe been waiting for their return. And now that they're all back together for this random podcast reunion show, the time seems ripe for them to get some long-awaited answers. Because their memories are fuzzy, but they're the only ones with any firsthand knowledge of the show and Mr. Magic himself and what really happened on that fateful last day. They're basically just walking archives of television trauma. So it's up to this estranged cast of former friends to try to piece together the events of something that happened decades ago. Step 1, actually remember the show. Step 2, figure out what happened that fateful day. Step 3, try not to die in the Utah desert. But if you can imagine, poking around the desert for answers to a 30-year-old tragedy might yield some shocking and nefarious results. As if child stars don't have it hard enough. And that's basically the story of Mr. Magic by Kiersten White. So what are my thoughts? Well, this book definitely doesn't make a positive case for child stardom. It does, however, conclusively prove that growing up on a beloved kids show is at best emotionally disturbing, and at worst, occasionally life-threatening. Child stardom seems fun, until it isn't, and then it's just terrifying. But the brilliance of this book is that it doesn't rely on monsters or gore or jump scares. The horror is in the mundane. The creeping realization that what you loved most as a child might have been quietly conspiring against your adult happiness. I'm looking at you, Barney. It's also about memories and trauma and friendship and the inexplicable pull of the past, all wrapped up in one very uncomfortable nostalgia burrito. Ooh, burrito. Now I'm hungry. Focus, Daniel. This book doesn't let nostalgia off the hook, because usually people tend to romanticize nostalgia as something magical, you know? It's why all my favorite dolls tend to be vintages. I'm just kidding, ladies. I have no favorites. But Mr. Magic is nostalgic horror. It's horror made of VHS tapes and the unsettling idea that your childhood comfort object maybe had an agenda. And now my doll room has just been upgraded from cute to literary horrorcore. Anyway, so there you go, just some of my thoughts on Mr. Magic by Kiersten White. An absolutely mysterious, twisty, interesting, fun, kind of creepy book about a bunch of kids who didn't necessarily grow up to be the most well-adjusted people thanks to child stardom. Because that's never happened, ever. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be doing these little book review videos weekly, so if this is your thing, then stay tuned. Oh, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment telling me all about your favorite childhood shows. Or maybe your favorite examples of the Mandela effect. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole of nostalgia and binge watch a bunch of 90s kid shows to see if I have any false memories. See you next time.